So everyone, BBC 3 has announced season 2 of I Kissed a Boy.
I'm back and dating is about to get a whole lot more fabulous.
Featuring 10 gay boys who are desperate for love. In this show, we see the return of pop goddess Danni Minogue.
I love watching your faces.
Because we're in.
Who plays Cupid in the UK's first ever gay quotations. Back to that later. Dating show. No small talk, no swiping. It's all about the first kiss.
UK's first ever gay dating show. How can that be in 2023? But here we are. It's finally happening.
Or is it?
And it's just boys, isn't it? It's not our lesbian sisters, it's the boys.
This is just boys. We're in Italy and it starts with a kiss.
Pink News, the incredibly esteemed LGBTQIA+ queer whatever the fuck news outlet tweeted exclusive. Danni Minogue teases steamy hashtag I Kissed a Boy season 2 and a big new twist. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I'm a boy, I'm a gay.
This is just boys. This is just boys.
And we all like a twist. So what is it? The twist is we are introducing to a gay men's dating show. Wait for it. Women.
This is just boys. This is just boys.
You heard me right. I Kissed a Boy season 2. Meet the cast, including the show's first trans man. And here we can see 10 pretty boys, twinkie boys, but which one of them is actually female? Well, meet Lars, a 23-year-old female to male trans man, or for sex realists, a woman on testosterone who has removed her breasts. Lars' profile says, I Kissed a Boy isn't just the fun reality TV show that we all know and love. It is a celebration of queer love in all its forms. So of course, gay male dating show equals queer love in all its forms, which basically means anything, right? And I'm honestly so proud to be the first trans person on the show, so major props to Lars, well done. Growing up, I never saw stories like mine reflected on screen, so to be part of something that embraces and normalizes LGBTQ+ relationships means the absolute world to me. So yeah, I don't think when I grew up I saw gay male dating shows featuring women either. So this is definitely a first.
This is just boys. Boys. Just boys.
It's messy, it's joyful, it's real, and it is exactly the kind of representation we need. Well, honey, trust me, it is messy. And I agree with you on that. So everyone, with this gay male dating show introducing a female, we ask, is this a problem? Are we overinflating this? We're making too big a deal out of this. Should we just let Lars be and live Lars's life and allow this show to unfold in all of its queer glory? Well, I'm here today to break down my thoughts and tell you exactly what I think. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack, or if you are new, hello, welcome to the family. If you enjoy my content, now is your time to hit the subscribe button. I am almost at 15K, so maybe this video could get me there. And while you're at it, hit the like button to help boost this video and get my content out to as many people as possible. So before we come back to the female on the gay male dating show, God, it's a mouthful, I have to keep repeating that. Let's go back to the inception of this show. Well, I Kissed a Boy only had one season so far, which featured 10 male, all men, in this case, gay men, last year. I Kissed a Boy, Danni Minogue announced as the host of BBC 3 new gay dating show. So everyone, whether you liked or disliked the show, I think this was a good thing last year. Lots of gay people were happy to see something like this because for a very long time, people have been wanting their own reality dating show or exclusively for gay people. We have so much of the others like Love Island and all that shite. Never interested in that. But finally, here we are, an exclusively gay dating show.
Here we are. It's finally happening.
What could go wrong? So I Kissed a Boy season 2 will be premiering on BBC this Sunday, and I am no fan of reality TV show. I can't stand anything worse, with the exception of The Traitors, which is one of the best reality shows ever created. Come invite me if you disagree. But in this case, I am going to be painfully making myself watch it because I'm very curious to see how all of this plays out. And who knows if there's more to tell. Perhaps you will see this in another video. When season 1 was announced, Danni Minogue, speaking about her role in the series, said, "There are millions of people in the the UK looking for love. True. And I believe love is for everyone. Also true. So I'm so thrilled for a gay dating show to be entering the sea of other dating shows that have existed on TV for years. So yes, I completely agree on this point, Danni Minogue, before you went trooned out and crazy, because for so long, people wanted a gay dating show. And what's happened now, you have given us one season. The UK has given us one season with 10 men on a gay male dating show. And then they said, you know, guys, you're getting a bit too big for your boots, so let's bring a woman in. And then that's it. You have one chance, you get it once, and the jig is up. So naturally, a lot of people are pretty pissed off about this. I miss Danni Minogue, granted, she looks great. I'm sure she has many lovely qualities. She doesn't exactly have a great history of her allyship towards the gay/queer community and seems to have been a fan of appropriating us for a while. Last year, Danni Minogue said that she is quote unquote queer ahead of new BBC lesbian dating show. The 52-year-old who previously married an American-Australian actor and model Julian McMahon declared, "I identify as queer in a weird way." Well, Danni, queer actually means strange, so it's definitely in a weird way. And we can see here now how queer has become absolutely meaningless, and the concept of the social contagion is very, very real. This was followed by an absolutely shite-talking article in The Guardian from this Arawa woman saying, "Can you be both straight and queer? You can if you're Danni Minogue." Right. You assumed the entertainer was talking about her sexuality when she said she was queer. What an old-fashioned way of thinking. Oh, I'm so sorry, Arawa Madawi. I'm so sorry that being gay is so out of fashion. You know, it was only 15 years ago when in Ireland I would barely even talk about being gay because it was so weird. And now it is completely old-fashioned. You know, oh my God, it's about sexuality? No way, it's so much more than that. No, it's not actually. Queer is bogus, queer is shite. Queer is cringe, crisp, and cute, and I've had enough of it. So if anyone can be queer, then no one is queer. And this is postmodernist academia coming to bite us in the ass once again. And Danni Minogue probably sensed that this was an unpopular opinion because she is very clearly a famous, straight Australian woman who decided to jump on this queer bandwagon and be, oh my God, I'm such an ally towards the gay community. I care so much. Yeah, she backtracked on this saying, "I'm straight and in a long-term hetero relationship." Danni Minogue debunks coming out story. Shocker. Danni Minogue clarifies that she has not come out as queer, but she has been a fierce ally to the LGBTQIA+ LMNOP community. So obviously Danni changed her mind. She's not queer. Okay, we forgive you, Danni. So at least you rectified that. A lot of us kind of normie gays just want to be treated as people, and to be an ally to us, if you must call it that, treat us as individuals who just happen to have a sexuality, instead of thinking that in order for us just to live in the world, we need to be constantly celebrated, constantly lifted up on a pedestal, constantly cheered and clapped at our outfits and what we say and our slang. A lot of gay people are sick of it. This is just a portion of gay men that are this way. Think of your Jonathan Van Nesses, that type, right?
Is like my reason for existence, and in season 3, if you need a cameo, I'm here. Okay. No,
they can be like that. I'm for libertarian values. They have every right to be that way, call themselves whatever they want. But the reality is, if you want to be an ally towards gay people, it encompasses so much more than just that. To announce the show, Danni Minogue tweeted, #BuckleUpBoys. Heard you are ready for another hot queer summer? Keep your eyes peeled for all things I Kissed a Boy. So what annoys me here is that, you know, okay, let's create a gay dating show. All right, cool, like the concept. And then of course, just everything's queer. Queer, queer, queer. So gay male dating show becomes a nothing dating show because no one can define queer. Queer just means anyone who is a little bit subversive, which now is actually so mainstream that to be a conservative gay is to be subversive. So makes no sense. And now let's come back to Lars, the female, who will be on the gay male dating show. I broke this out on Twitter. A female is due to appear on a gay male dating show. No doubt they will gaslight themselves into kissing her. Everyone is celebrating this as though it's progressive, even though it's not unlike the days of gays being forced to be in straight relationships. So I'll admit my language is pretty to the point here, but this tweet got hella views and many people, the majority of people responding to it, bear in mind they're in my ecosystem of sex realism, were absolutely outraged by this. And of course, the homophobic trans activists started coming from me with this one Omicron Omega saying, dude also looks more like a man than you. This just reeks of jealousy. In response to this, I hit a burn saying, nah mate, I think the wispy tash can't contend with mine. And in both the previous tweet and this one, I got a lot of support from my followers defending me, and I really appreciate that. So there's just a bit of thirsty discourse for you if you wanted an Easter egg in this video. And if not, just subvert your eyes. I'm sorry. The Gay Times, who are supposed to be gay of the times of being gay, Gay Times, also came out, of course, in support of this, which was reposted by Lars's self. BBC Three's I Kissed a Boy season 2 to feature franchise's first ever trans contestant. So yay! Again, one season, and now we're back to mixed sex. Might as well be called Love Island. In the Gay Times article, they said, while the first entry of I Kissed a Boy was groundbreaking, the upcoming second season is set to be even more inclusive and representative of the lgbtqia+ gasp community. The show is called I Kissed a Boy, right? So presumably it will be a show of boys kissing boys, you know? That is as inclusive as it gets. But of course, the woke progressive authoritarians were saying, no. It needs to be even more inclusive. And what could be more inclusive for gay men than adding women into the mix? Guys, it's just a no-brainer if you ask me. The whole thing is completely incoherent because it's a gay men's dating show. I'm going to keep saying this. Gay men's dating show, I Kissed a Boy, but then it's constantly conflated with this LGBTQIA+ community. So are lesbians involved? Are asexual people involved? I don't think they're going to want to be kissing anyone. And even the plus, I mean, we might as well just throw Danni Minogue in for the snog while we're at it.
Welcome to I Kissed a Boy.
And before I speculate a bit on Lars, I just want to say, I do not want to make this video a personal attack on Lars, although I'm sure lots of you will see it that way. But I just want to say that this individual, Lars, I don't know you, of course, but I'm sure you're a nice person. You know, I'm sure you're a good person in many ways and you have many supporters, and I hope you are living a happy and fulfilled life despite any of the decisions you've made. And the fact that you have chosen to medicalize and transition, whether that's good or bad for you in the long run, I really hope that it has made you happy and will continue to make you happy. I just want everyone to bear in mind here that we live in a world right now with this trans ideology where someone like Lars says, you know, I want to be a gay man. And then the progressive circles around Lars affirms that. And they say, you are a gay man, you can be a gay man. They celebrate it, they think it's a good thing. So naturally, we foster this kind of entitlement, sense of affirmation as they walk through the world. And then when they come into contact with people who disagree with that, they're obviously already indoctrinated by that community to say those people hate you and they're transphobic bigots instead of just trying to stand up for the concept of same-sex attraction in the first place. So I don't really have very ill feelings towards Lars. Lars wanted something. Lots of the world granted Lars is that. And then BBC also offered Lars a role on this show. So, you know, our public broadcasting company for which we pay our hard-earned tax to, this is really not a good look because just after the Supreme Court ruled that sex in the Equality Act refers to biological sex, that should mean even more that this show for gay men, gay males, should only have males. But Lars has been sold this lie, affirmed this lie, even been affirmed this lie more by our state broadcaster. So no hate specifically to Lars, but I am going to be examining a bit of what Lars says just to critique this whole idea and how this is transpiring. So one thing I'd appreciate from you guys in the comments is just critiques on this overall theory that you can put a woman in a gay male dating show. Many gay men before my time sacrificed so much so I could live the life I have today. So, you know, if you come for me,
I'm coming for you.
But please try and keep the comments respectful. Don't hate on Lars specifically. Let's talk about the ideas. With that being said, back to Lars. So Lars said, I've been through 16 years of my life as a girl, plus whatever age you are now, 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus another 8, just gonna say. It's aged me, but in a good way. Lars has put everything into his transition from female to male and is now wanting to focus on other things. The missing piece of the puzzle is a man. And this part is quite telling. As well as gender, Lars had to tackle his sexuality too. I didn't have an attraction to girls. I always liked guys. I felt like a gay guy trapped in a woman's body. So with this, I obviously try to come at things from a moderate stance. I get more hate sometimes from gender critical people than trans activists because most of them don't even watch my videos because they hate me that much. Trying to understand the perspective of a woman, thinking any man can know what it's like to be a woman based off having hormones and changing their aesthetic to be quite stereotypically female. I can really understand how incongruent and sort of offensive that is in a sense, because when I think about female to male transsexuals who are lesbians, so they're attracted to women, I still don't fully understand that experience. I feel a disconnect from it because I don't know what it's like to be a lesbian. However, I do know what it's like to be a gay man. I do know what it's like from the age of 11, 12, being very confused. I do know what it's like getting erections as a teenager around other boys. I do know what it's like being terrified to be in the changing room with other boys. And I know yada, 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 all the other things of what it means to be a gay man. But just the idea that a woman can somehow know what it's like to be a gay man, to me that just seems just totally ridiculous and fantastical. And with that, I can really understand more why a woman would think, you may want to change how you look and maybe be perceived as a woman in the world, but you're never going to understand what it's like to, bear a child, to have a period, to go through the normal things that girls do, and everything else is sort of secondary, right? It's given me a better appreciation for what it's like for women. It's odd with the trans men because when we think of trans men, so females who take testosterone and cut off their breasts, most of us imagine lesbian women, right? Lesbian women who, perhaps are struggling with internalized misogyny, hatred towards their body, and just find it easier to live that way. It's more unusual to see these women who are straight attracted to men transition, right? Because then they kind of become this quote unquote gay man. And that is really strange to me, thinking female friends I know who are straight somehow wanting to be a gay man, makes no sense. But lots of you will be familiar with the Ray Blanchard typology of the homosexual, transsexual, and autogynephile. So those refer to males. AGP for short for the autogynephile, straight men, sometimes bisexual, sometimes asexual, who have a sexual attraction at the idea of being a woman. This can become obsessive, often amplified through porn, and then it leads them to having this cross-sex identity, which is further indoctrinated and exacerbated by the trans activist community. And then they seek desperate measures such as hormones and surgery in order to live out that alter ego. But we also have the concept of autoandrophilia, and that is basically the female equivalent. So in the context of Blanchard's transsexual typology, this refers to a paraphilia, which is a sexual interest in something other than typical sexual activity, where individuals are sexually aroused by the idea of being a gay man. It's distinct from androphilia, which is simply sexual attraction to men. While some theorists and clinicians reject Blanchard's typology, the concept of autoandrophilia can explain certain types of non-homosexual male to female transsexualism. I mean, just reading that kind of fucks you in the head. Basically what you're saying here is there is a woman and she finds the idea of being a gay man sexually arousing or romantically appealing. And what this was sort of previously being referred to was homoeroticism. There is sort of a presumed distinction between the two things here, whereas the autogynephilic male, it's very much a sexual attraction inward at having a female body, having breasts, wearing female clothes, whereas it seems to be that autoandrophiles, females wanting to be gay men, it's more the kind of attraction and appeal of being in a gay relationship and having gay male sex, rather than simply the attraction of having a penis, having testicles, and having a male body. But I do think that the two can come hand in hand. We need to have lots more research on this, but lots of women have come out, lots of detransitioned women have come out and expressed that they actually have felt these desires of wanting to be a gay man and have gay sex. And if you do go looking on Google, you do find evidence of this. So for example, on this Reddit post, what does it mean that I'm always attracted to gay men? I'm a cisgender, so she's a woman basically, straight female as far as I can tell. What is wrong with me? And there does seem to be a subset of straight women who are actually attracted to mainly gay men, and they sort of fetishize gay men. And this post, as far as 4 years ago, I've done a bit of research on it, and the overwhelming consensus from the trans community seems to be that autoandrophilia doesn't exist. Problem is, it's the only thing that has made sense for me. I'm an AFAB NB, so a female non-binary person. The only way I can get off sexually aroused is imagining myself with a penis instead of a vulva. I'm comfortable in my enviness. Honestly, like if you could read this in the past, 50 years ago, you'd just be thinking, what the hell is this? But anyway, but my genitals do not match what I want and need them to be. My chest doesn't trigger as much dysphoria, but downstairs definitely does. I'm confused as to how to move on from here. I'm not a man. I don't think I want to transition. I just want a penis. Any advice would be appreciated. There you have it. I mean, that is quote unquote a lived experience, which even though that term is totally corrupted by the left, it does count for something, right? Because there are women out there who seem to be erotically aroused at the thought of having a male body. And, you know, if there are any women in the comments, I'd love to know. If you imagine having a dick, I mean, how does it make you feel? Like, do you find it appealing? Do you find it disgusting? Maybe you just find it curious. You'd say, yeah, I'd have a penis for a day just to know what it feels like, but I'm not keeping that shit. Or maybe there are some of you who read this and think, wow, this really describes my experience. What you see in the comments in these posts are gaslighting and usually just telling the person this means you're trans, which is very problematic, part of the whole social contagion phenomenon we're seeing. Autoandrophilia and autogynephilia, both spelled incorrectly, can I add, don't exist because they are pathologizing harmless sexual desires that make sense for someone of your gender identity. It's not a paraphilia that you, as a non-binary person, want a penis. So the word paraphilia in itself has been corrupted because all it describes is an unusual sexual interest. So if you have a rubber fetish, that would be considered a paraphilia, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But then you have dysfunctional paraphilias where it actually starts to affect both your life and other people's lives. Most, if not all, pedophiles, which is a paraphilia, it would be a dysfunctional paraphilia. They commit crime, ruin children's lives, they end up in prison, and overall it is just very problematic. I think there obviously are people out there who fantasize about having a penis if you're a female, and maybe that's as far as it goes. Maybe they don't have dysphoria, maybe they have no desire to transition. It's not necessarily bad to have a paraphilia like that. I'm a female, but I want to be in a gay relationship. I'm an AFAB, I'm getting so sick of reading this jargon. She's a woman, right? I'm completely stable in my gender identity, except when I think about being in a relationship. Right now, I identify as aromantic, of course, another label. But when I think more about relationships, I do want to be in one, but not as a girl. I want to be in a gay relationship as a guy. So there we have it, folks. There's that auto-homoeroticism, autoandrophilia, which is the sexual attraction towards being in a gay relationship or having gay sex. And this really seems to be something we're seeing in straight women transitioning. Maybe not all of them. You know, we have a lot of the ROGD, rapid onset gender dysphoria, often autistic, socially ostracized young teenage girls who are straight who get into this. But there's even dispute over whether, and Phil Illey, the author of Auto Heterosexual, who is very vehement on these ideas, he seems to think that actually the vast majority of them are autoandrophilic. And something else to throw into the mix here is the concept of slash fiction, which Helen Joyce has spoke on a number of times very well. So what is this? Well, slash fiction is a subgenre of fan fiction that explores romantic or sexual relationships between fictional characters of the same sex, often focusing on male characters. So this is very much a female kind of cult trend online in which they write fan fiction. They say shipping, I believe. I feel so old getting down with the lingo, but shipping, so putting together two male characters from a well-known book, film, whatever, and writing a story about them as though they're in a relationship. And a very common one we see is Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter, for example, being written about. And now they have this whole debate on, can we separate the art from the artist? Well, you know, you get off on it, so you bet you can. And you may also be familiar with the graphic novel Heartstopper, which features two teenage boys falling in love, written by a female author called Alice Oseman. I think that's about all I know about it, but it's also a Netflix series. Also, as a gay man, it's so strange for me thinking of a straight woman, or I don't know if she's straight actually, but it's strange for me thinking of a woman, spending so much time writing a whole novel about a gay relationship. I mean, it's great. Anyone can write what they want. There does seem to be a fascination with some women fetishizing and idolizing a gay male relationship, particularly sort of pretty boy gays. What I hear about this and what Helen Joyce describes quite well is the way that they're written is not at all how gay men behave. You know, they're very much written from the perspective of how a female would want this kind of relationship relationship to be. You know, men are in general first motivated sexually and visually, and then the kind of connection comes next. Females are kind of the opposite, right? They need a strong connection before that sexual attraction occurs. That's not the case for everyone. Don't come at me. There are outliers. So is this Lars's self experience? Well, of course, I'm just speculating, right? So I'm not saying, you know, Lars is an autoandrophile, Lars has a sexual attraction towards being a gay man. But if you were to follow the Blanchardian typology, which is kind of the most robust research we have in this field, you know, you could deduce that she is. So this tweet says, my hairline may be receding, but at least I have a cute face and a fat ass. And, you know, the gays commonly talk of that bubble butt, it's a real thing. And look at this post that she reposted, which is very much kind of fetishizing of gay men, and lots of gay men would love this, but it is interesting to think of a woman, you know, being really into this. World's gayest boy band. And here she is. I mean, guess which one, because obviously she's pretty short. Sorry, Lars, but this is probably the world's least gay boy band because it has a woman in it. So I don't really think, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. November 8, 2019, boys are so hot. Okay, I agree. But this next tweet, September 2019, men are trash. So a bit incoherent, but there was a whole trend going around at that time. So if men are trash, Lars, why do you want to be one? Is my question. And I know that I'm digging up tweets from ages ago. If you could see stuff I said in 2019, you'd cringe. So I'm not going to hold Lars to account for that. But, you know, we have to do our research and detective work here, everyone. At the end of the day, people only give a fuck about themselves in 2018. Now, that's quite intriguing to me because, you know, while I have expressed compassion for Lars and how Lars has been led to thinking being in this gay male dating show is actually a great thing, there has to be something going on there to not take a step back and think, right, okay, I want to be a gay man. Lots of people are at least allowing me to live that way. But what I'm now going to do is go and take one of the 10 spots on the first ever UK reality show for gay men. In my eyes, that is very much self-centered and thinking about yourself. You know, why can't the trans activists fight for their own shit? Stonewall, hello. You've spent years erasing women's rights, erasing gay rights. If you guys could use all of your just vicious, visceral, just buzzing in my ear energy to fight for your own stuff, fight for a trans man dating show or whatever. Fight for a queer, just all the spectrum of the rainbow dating show. But of course, Lars probably wouldn't want to be with another trans man because Lars clearly likes the dick. And guess what? So do gay men. So you are infringing on the space, you're colonizing the space, and you are just bringing back the old homophobic tropes that you just haven't met the right woman yet. This new homophobia in disguise, it's not fooling me. It's not fooling so many of us. We are going to fight you and you will lose. So Lars has a Substack, recently wrote this article, We Will Not Be Erased, the Supreme Court ruling and its impact on trans rights. If you read through this, it's kind of all of the same garbage on they didn't consult a single trans person. Trans people are 0.1% of the population. I'm not going to get into that. Let's just look at a couple bits. All right. So I know I am extremely privileged in that I pass, meaning I can navigate through the world without being immediately identified as being trans. So debatable, but it offers me safety in ways many trans people, especially trans women and non-binary people, don't have. I love how they're just always putting people into all these boxes. Like, it's confusing. Yet under this ruling, I could be forced into female spaces simply because I was assigned female at birth. Not only is this invalidating, but it's unsafe for me and for others. It puts us in situations that makes no sense for anyone involved. You know, I do empathize with this. It would be kind of difficult for her to walk into a female changing room with a wispy mustache and no breasts, but it's just all the hypocrisy of this post. Like, me, as Elder said on my recent video, me. I think I did it right.
It's me.
And, you know, look what she says, that I could be forced into female spaces. It's not only is it invalidating, but it's unsafe for me. I mean, you are forcing yourself into a gay male space, and then you're complaining about being invalidated and being unsafe and that it being so unfair on you. I mean, what about the gay men who don't believe that you're a gay man? You know, is it just stuff it? Because this trans activist ideology always seems to trump everything else. Let's be real, posting a pretty Instagram story with a Trans Lives Matter caption won't do shit. Empty gestures don't make a difference. We need real actions. Donate to transition fundraisers, look out for your trans mates, be a support system and ally in public, and call out transphobic bullshit when you hear it. Where the trans activists, they just seem to have this idea that everyone else is just walking through the world going, la 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 la. Oh my God, my life's so easy. There's no prejudice. I have no worries. Oh my God, there's this one group in society that are just so underprivileged and I need to give them money. I need to, look out for my trans siblings. I need to challenge people on the street, and just posting a square on my Instagram isn't doing enough. Like, do you guys realize that people have shit going on? Families, children, jobs, sometimes multiple jobs, disabilities, diseases, addictions. The list goes on. It's not just you trans people that are the most important in society. It's just this collectivist mindset that needs to die, right? Back to the rights of the individual. It's your life. You've chosen to do this. The world has said, no, actually sex is real, because it is. And you're going to have to deal with those consequences. Like, you are the consequence of your actions. Life is really not that bad. All the stuff you see online, things are fine. You're still protected from discrimination. But I just hate this idea of just holding us ransom to you and saying you owe us all these stuff. You need to donate money to us. Like, off. All of these GoFundMes, like, help me achieve gender euphoria for my top surgery. No, I have better things to be spending my money on than you removing body parts. But I also want to shed light on this ridiculous, unnerving, enraging article that recently came out by Attitude, of which has a terrible attitude now, because it says, are gay men doing enough to support trans women? 4 community voices give their take. Oh, great. Let's see what all of these men have to say. Here's the first one. Ella Morgan, she, her, TV star. Gay men can help women by openly acknowledging that they owe their civil liberties to Black trans women and lesbians. So just everything about this, I'm so tired of hearing. What I find so funny is that not only do we owe our rights to trans people, but it's always Black trans women. They obviously just pick, right, what's the most marginalized version of this twisted ideology we can pick out? I owe my rights to specifically Black trans women. Doesn't make sense. Marsha P. Johnson, he said he wasn't trans. Sylvia Rivera was an autogynephilic, drug addict prostitute. I don't think it's a great representation for gay rights, in my opinion. But we're just so sick of you guys holding us at this pathetic ransom, saying we won you your rights, now you owe us stuff. Like, no, we don't. Stop holding us trans activists in this abusive relationship with you, because it's only going to push us out further. Saying this shit is just making the problem worse. It's making gay men like me, like the gender critical gays, it's just making us more sick of you. So, F you. Well, Miss Kimberly, the next one, Ms. Kimberly, gay men are a red flag. It's devastating. Okay, great. Well, I'm not even going to read the rest of it, Kimberly, because already you think gay men are a red flag. So F you. Why would I want anything to do with you? So insulting. Like, I don't owe you shit. And then finally, India Willoughby, dun dun dun. Me and India go back a while, with the exception of Graham Norton and Russell T Davies. Oh, they're the best gays in the world, of course. There are more cis celebrities. David Tennant, Daniel Radcliffe, Madonna. David Tennant in particular is a great person, wished for Kemi Badenoch to not exist anymore. Speaking up for trans people than famous gays. You'd think the gradual legal eradication of trans people in the UK and US has nothing to do with you, but it does. The real targets of the gender critical movement are gay rights and women's rights. You are next. I love just this fear-mongering and threats to hold us at ransom to fight for your twisted cause by trying to make us believe that they're going to come for us next, while all of us know that it's bullshit. And why do you think lots of famous gays aren't speaking up? It's because they also know it's bullshit, and they're so tired of your abusive, tantrum, toddler-like behavior. They don't want anything to do with you. They don't want to be associated with Stonewall. And no matter how many times we tell them, no, actually, especially in the UK, the gender critical movement started on the left. It started with left-wing feminists. The gender critical movement, if it was a political party, would be known as a broad church. So stop holding us to ransom. It's not working. And India Willoughby, I'm sure, will speak again. Well, when I posted about Lars, I shared this to my Instagram, and then a lovely autogynophile popped in my DMs, slid in my DMs. Just proves my point, really, because he said, "You're such a fucking pathetic loser. Why do you keep talking and thinking about genitals of strangers? Sick little pervert. Get a better hobby, you strange fuck." And I want you guys to notice that even though I'm very opinionated, I say what's on my mind, I've never spoken to someone like this. I've never spoken to a trans activist like this. I've never wished death on a trans activist. I've never said they're a pathetic fucking loser. I've never called them, sick perverts. I don't use that language, but who does? The trans activists. Which protests did we see signs calling for the death of people, for the burning of people, for saying you're jealous of my dick and my breasts? Let me think. Oh yeah, it was the trans activist protests. So you guys need to take a look in the mirror, put aside that dysphoria for a second. It is pot kettle black all over the place. Let's look at one last tweet from Lars where she says, "Oh yeah, let's demonize trans people even more because that's definitely why the country is in shambles right now. I'm bored. Can we stop creating more issues and focus on the ones we already have? This culture war is so boring now. I'm tired of it, man." You could help the culture war by not doing what you're doing, by not colonizing a gay male dating show where so far there's only been 20 contestants and one of them is a woman. That is, one gay man that hasn't had the opportunity, and it is 5% of all the people who've been on that show. So congratulations for doing that. I know that there's more culprits involved, but there's been a lot of chat over this on whether, is this coercion? Is this gay conversion therapy? Is she a predator? Some people are wondering, is the guy told before that she's female? That remains to be seen because I've not seen the show. I think that rhetoric is a little bit strong. I mean, I don't think that Lars is a predator. Some people are describing it as rape culture. I wouldn't go that far. I think Lars has been sold a message and ran with it. I would very much assume and hope that the men on this show have been informed that this is a trans man, i.e. woman. If not, then, this story is about to get a whole more spicy, but I very much hope it doesn't. The series follows 10 single gay men / plus women.
All from very different backgrounds, all different experiences.
Who are matched up and meet for the first time with a kiss. No small talk, no messages, just one kiss to test out their chemistry.
They start with a kiss and then we see what happens after that, if they agree with the match that we've made, or if there's a little disruption, maybe someone comes into the masseria and maybe there are changes, but...
So they live in the masseria then?
So from my understanding, the 10 of them, they already start in a pair. So there's 5 pairs to start and they need to begin that relationship with a kiss. And then I think there's opportunities for them to switch. I am hoping that whatever man she's paired with is very much aware that she is female. One argument against what I'm saying, and I know a lot of the progressive gays, the queers, the musical theatre queens will disagree with me, which is absolutely fine. All of the 9 men on this show, if this receives more backlash, may come out in defense of her. They may say, this is transphobic, we accept her as a gay man, this is abusive. That's totally fine. You guys are allowed to hold that opinion. I don't think that this offers insight into the broader context because look at the men that they chose for this show, right? They are all very queer looking, bit gender bendy, quite femme and twinky, right? I don't see any kind of mass conservative Trumper type gay, even just like the muscle gays, the circuit gays, none of those are here. So while this show is saying actually having a trans man in it is just more inclusive, what this show represents is actually a very exclusive experience for gay men.
All from very different backgrounds, all different experiences.
No doubt to be on this show, you have to be a raging leftist gay man, identify as queer, not just gay. There's no way you can be a conservative or vote for reform. And you obviously have to agree with gender ideology. So you could mask this and say, actually, F you, we accept her as a gay man. But what you are doing, BBC Three, is excluding a whole portion of gay men who think differently. And that's what you're doing. It's not inclusive. It's very much exclusive to all the gay men out there who are crying out for this shit to end and to say, just treat us as individuals who happen to be attracted to men. And that is very much what I see on this show. It's not a gay male dating show. It is guys / women who identify as queer and, all of that shite. This is causing issues. I hear stories about women who think they're gay men entering gay men spaces and I'm not really one for this scene at all, especially because I'm in a monogamous relationship. But any gay man will tell you going to gay clubs, gay bathhouses, saunas, gay sex parties, it is effing intense. The sex is, quite rough and ready. There's usually a lot of drugs involved, huge chem sex scene, poppers, men just having sex with dozens of men in one night. I just do not believe that any woman is cut out for that. I believe she's vulnerable. It doesn't make any sense to me. Even gay men are vulnerable in that environment. So it's very much not a safe environment for women. Some of them still feel entitled to go into those spaces. And I've heard lots of stories just like this one who responded to my tweet saying, I've heard stories about how a trans man who was gay showed up at a gay party only to find out no one was interested. One of my gay friends was dragged into a men's toilet, forced to touch a trans man's prosthetic genitals, had to console the crying gay trans man because no one was interested in pursuing him. I think the viewers will find out if the contestants in the show were playing the cameras, not to show disgust due to fear of backlash and cancellation. Well, that remains to be seen, everyone. The final point I want to discuss here is, is a gay man getting with a trans man, a woman who's taken testosterone, removed the breasts, etc., is that gay? Everyone says no, and they say it is bisexual. And I want to offer my 2 cents on this because it's a little bit complicated, right? So just hear me out. In terms of a gay man getting with a trans man, scientifically, it is very much a heterosexual experience, right? You have a woman and a man, regardless of what drugs she's taken. But the thing about it is, as well, is there are lots of older gay men who actually had a wife or dated women and even fathered children and later came out as gay. So what people need to understand is that men are very sexual beings. And even if they're not necessarily attracted to, for example, a woman, they may still be able to get it up, which we see it with a lot of gay men coming out later in life. Even they've been able to get it up and perform the act for, normally presenting women and have kids. So that's an important fact to remember. Even more so when that woman can sort of disguise herself as a man by, having the facial hair, no breasts and stuff. It, would allow those men to suspend their disbelief even more. So I do think that gay men end up having sex with trans men and they're still gay. However, I think the main reason they end up doing it is because, one, it's seen as progressive and they think it's cool. They like to tell people, oh, look how trendy I am. 2, they kind of feel like they should do it because they are told if they don't, they're transphobic. And 3, I don't know if I have a 3, but that's kind of my point, right? I still think they're gay men. I still think if you asked a lot of them, did you go down on her? They'd probably say no. I know a guy who said, oh yeah, I'd have sex with a trans man. This is a gay guy. And I said, but would you go down on her? And he was like,
oh my God, no.
So there you have it, right? So if you're, to be crude, like effing a woman who's masculinized herself from behind and you're a bit drunk and you're a progressive queer person, then you could probably perform the act. Are you being truthful to yourself? And one day, are you going to look back on that and think, actually, I was sort of coerced both by myself, by that woman and the wider community into having sex with a woman when I spent so many years as an adolescent trying to work out who I was. So that's how I would explain it. And I'd very much be curious to know what you think. Well, everyone, there you go. That's my analysis on this gay male dating show. Glad I don't have to say that again. Once again, no hate to Lars individually. I wish you a prosperous and fulfilling life. I'm sure if you or your friends see this, you're going to absolutely hate me. But, if you guys come for the gays, we're coming for you. And this means war. So with that said, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you thought. And I will see you very soon. Bye.
This is just boys. This is just boys. We're in Italy and it starts with a kiss.